I don't feel guilty. I don't feel guilty at all. I'm sitting here in this cell, clapped in irons, waiting to be hanged in the morning. I don't care about that neither. It all started the day I signed on a square rigger that was bound for the New World. The crew told me that on the last voyage they'd run into the doldrums. Now, the doldrums is a place out in the middle of the ocean where there ain't no wind. The sea is like glass all the way to the horizon. The sails hang like wilted lettuce in the yard arms. It's so hot you can hardly breathe. It's not a very large area, but you can't sail out of it. On the day we was to set sail, I heard the sound of horse hooves on the dock. I run up on deck, and there they was, 30 of them. Oh, I'd never seen such gorgeous creatures before. Their faces was beautiful, and their coats was shining, their movements was like a song. I run straight away to the first mate and asked if I could be in charge. He said, right. So we marched them on board, down into the hold, into their stores, and then we set sail. I took care of them all the time we were at sea. I watered them and fed them and cleaned out their stores, and I put around fresh straw too, so they'd be comfy. And every day I'd rub down their legs. You see, horses was born to run, and if they can't move about, they get awful jittery, so I'd rub down their legs every day. They seemed to like that. Each one had his own special way about him, too. So I named them all. Blackie and Brownie and Yardarm and Mustard Duke, so on. There was a little brown and white pinto I called Cloudsy. I used to steal sugar out the galley. He'd pick it right out of me pocket. There was two of them, though, I think I was kind of partial to. There was a very beautiful mare I called Jessica. She used to shake her head at me whenever I walked by. And there was a very noble-looking gentleman with a white blaze down his face. I called him I, because he'd look me right in the eye whenever I talked to him. And he'd call me during the day, too. He'd go, ooh, ooh. I say, now, settle down, I boy. It's all right, I'm right here. Oh, we had a lovely time down there in the hold, we did. Late one afternoon, the storm clouds started rolling in, and the sea turned to whitecaps. By nightfall, we was in the middle of a ferocious storm. We was being banged back and forth down there in the hold. Me horses was terribly frightened. They was stamping about and pulling on their ties and crying out. I went around to each one of them and patted him down and called him by name. And then I sang them some songs. Bawdy songs, I'm afraid they was. Kind I learned in the taverns. But they didn't pay any attention to the words, but they loved the tunes. And I calmed them down right there in the middle of the storm. They trusted me after that. They knew that if I was there, everything was all right. I was always there. I spent all my time in the hold. About 8 weeks out, we run into the doldrums. The ship come to a standstill and the sails hung slack. Late in the afternoon, the captain ordered me to bring the horses up on deck, so I marched them up. Oh, I was so happy for them. They was prancing about and breathing deep. Then we rigged up a crane and pushed it over the side, and one by one we lowered each one of me gentle friends down into the water. They were strung out in 2 lines, 15 and 15, and them tied to the bow of the ship. Captain ordered me out in a longboat, and we rowed out ahead of them. Oh, I was so happy for them. They seemed to be enjoying the cool water. When we got out ahead of them, the first mate ordered me to call to Jessica and I. And when they heard my voice, they started swimming toward me. And all together, the horses began to pull the ship. I held up a lantern so's me beauties could see, and they pulled the great ship slowly and steadily through the still black water. Oh, I wish you could have been there. They was magnificent to see. Their heads was held high and their ears was erect. Their eyes were shining as they trotted slowly and proudly through the water. They swam all night. And in the morning it turned light at the horizon and the sun peeped up. They was still going strong. I was so proud. Atta girl, Jessica. Good boy, aye, me proud beauty. And the ship moved on. Late in the morning I could see they was growing tired and thirsty too. I turned to say something to the first mate, but just then a shout rang out. We looked back at the ship. Sails was beginning to billow. Oh, I breathed a great sigh of relief because the wind had come up. We was out of the doldrums. We rowed back to the ship, and as I climbed on board, the captain said, "Good job, lad." Right there in front of the old crew he did. I said, "Well, thank you, sir, but it was me horses done the work." Then we hauled up the longboat, and I pushed the crane over to begin picking up me horses who was milling about, when the captain sang out, "Cut the lines! Make full sail! We've got time to make up!" Someone picked up a hatchet and cut the lines to me horses, and we began moving forward. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. All the men was running around like crazy, trying to get all the sails to the wind, but nobody was paying any attention to the horses. I run forward and shouted at the captain. First mate jumped in me way and ordered the master at arms to throw me off the bridge. He hit me and knocked me down, then pulled out his pistol and pointed it at me and started counting. I jumped up and ran back to the stern. Me horses was already drifted far back. They was swimming, trying to keep up. But they was so tired. They was losing fast. The sea had begun its giant swells again. And I'd see their heads at the crest of a wave, and then they'd disappear into a trough and then reappear at the crest of a wave. And each time their heads got smaller and smaller. And then they was gone. I just stood out there staring into the empty sea. Suddenly, way far back at the crest of a wave, I saw a head. It was I. He was still swimming strong, and he called to me. And then he was gone. I stood out there on the stern for the rest of the day, just staring into the empty sea. When the night time came, I leaned over and picked up the hatchet that had been used to cut the lines to me horses and began making me way forward to the captain's quarters. I opened the door and peered in. All the officers were sitting around a candlelit table having dinner. They all turned and stared at me. It was unheard of for a common seaman to come into the captain's quarters, and he said, "Here now, what's this?" I walked up to him and swung the hatchet, split his head open down to his chin. Then I swung at the first mate and took his head off. Then I buried the hatchet deep in the master at arms' chest. There was blood and gore everywhere. No one moved, and I was glad for what I'd done. So now, here I sit in his cell, waiting to be hanged in the morning. I haven't slept a wink since then. Not because of what I done to the captain, but because I still hear me beauties calling to me from over the waves.